Prius found in Creek, Rome, 2022. Missing Aaron's car, found. Aaron's father, Jeremy, reported him missing after he failed to show up in Alabama to see his girlfriend. The car's mysterious abandonment raised questions. Why was it there? Where was Aaron? Police began piecing together the last known moments of Aaron's life, starting with his visit to Brandon's house. Aaron and Brandon had been friends since middle school. The night before Aaron disappeared, the two drank red wine at Brandon's house. Brandon claimed Aaron got sick and threw up repeatedly before passing out. Around 2 a.m., Brandon said he woke up to find Aaron's car gone. But something felt off. Police noticed inconsistencies in Brandon's story and strange details in the house, like locked doors and a strong chemical smell. The investigation took a dark turn when officers found bloodstains in Aaron's room far more than just vomit. Brandon acted strangely during questioning. He claimed to be worried about Aaron but seemed evasive. Police searched his house and found cleaning supplies and bloodstains in Aaron's room. When officers pressed for answers, Brandon suddenly jumped the fence and fled. The once helpful friend was now a suspect on the run. Police scoured the neighborhood, but Brandon had vanished. His father, Jeremy, was shocked and confused. He had no idea where his son was or why he was running. While searching the house, Jeremy found Brandon's phone. He refused to hand it over to police, raising suspicions. What was on the phone that made him so protective? Hours passed with no sign of Brandon. Meanwhile, police pieced together clues from the house: bloodstains, cleaning supplies, and Brandon's erratic behavior. The investigation shifted from a missing person case to a potential homicide. Brandon's phone contained chilling notes and a to-do list. One note read, "His scream became a gargle as he swallowed his tongue." Another listed tasks like vacuum and laundry, followed by text Rachel that Aaron threw up horribly. The notes hinted at a dark, twisted mind. Police realized Brandon wasn't just a suspect, was a cold-blooded killer. After hours on the run, Brandon called his father and agreed to surrender. He and his parents arrived at the police station, where Brandon was taken into custody. His calm demeanor unnerved officers. He showed no remorse, no fear, just eerie silence. Police prepared to interrogate him, hoping to uncover the truth about Aaron's disappearance. Detective York questioned Brandon, but he remained silent, refusing to confess. Meanwhile, Brandon's parents spoke with police, revealing troubling details about his mental health. They claimed he had anxiety and OCD, but was that enough to explain his actions? Police needed more evidence to build their case. Brandon's father, Jeremy, hinted that Aaron's body might be in a local cemetery. Police launched a massive search and found Aaron buried in a secluded area, wrapped in sheets from Brandon's house. The discovery confirmed their worst fears. Aaron had been murdered. With Aaron's body found, Brandon was formally arrested for murder. He remained eerily calm, showing no emotion as officers processed him. His parents watched in shock, struggling to reconcile the son they knew with the killer he had become. Police broke the devastating news to Aaron's parents. Their son, a recent college graduate with a bright future, was gone. The family demanded justice, and police vowed to ensure Brandon paid for his crimes. Brandon's trial began in July 2024. His defense argued mental instability, but the prosecution presented overwhelming evidence, including the chilling notes and the gruesome discovery of Aaron's body. The courtroom was tense as witnesses took the stand. The jury found Brandon guilty of murder. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without parole, calling his actions evil and horrifying. Aaron's family finally had justice, but the pain of losing him would never fade. Aaron's parents struggled to cope with their loss. They remembered him as a kind, ambitious young man whose life was cut short by a senseless act of violence. Meanwhile, Brandon's parents grappled with the guilt and shame of their son's actions. Behind bars, Brandon remained an enigma. Psychologists tried to understand what drove him to kill, but his motives remained unclear. His chilling notes hinted at a disturbed mind, but no one could fully explain his actions. Aaron's family found solace in knowing Brandon would never walk free. While nothing could bring Aaron back, his memory lived on. The case served as a grim reminder of the darkness that can lurk in even the closest friendships. After Brandon's arrest, detectives meticulously reviewed the evidence. The bloodstains, cleaning supplies, and Brandon's disturbing notes painted a clear picture of premeditation. They also discovered that Brandon had meticulously planned the murder, even detailing how to clean up the crime scene. The investigation revealed a chilling level of calculation, leaving no doubt that Brandon had intentionally killed his lifelong friend. Brandon's parents faced an impossible situation. They loved their son, but couldn't ignore the overwhelming evidence against him. Jeremy, Brandon's father, struggled with guilt over finding the phone and not immediately turning it over to police. They wondered if they could have done more to prevent the tragedy, but the reality was clear. Their son was a killer. The autopsy revealed the gruesome details of Aaron's death. He had been brutally attacked, with multiple wounds indicating a violent struggle. The fact that his body was wrapped in sheets from Brandon's house further tied Brandon to the crime. The report confirmed what everyone already suspected. Aaron had been murdered in cold blood. Brandon's mental health impacted the murder. They claimed he was not in his right mind at the time of the crime. However, the prosecution countered that Brandon's detailed notes and cleanup efforts showed clear premeditation, undermining the insanity defense. The prosecution presented Brandon's chilling notes as evidence of his cold-blooded nature. They argued that his actions were calculated and deliberate, not the result of a mental breakdown. The jury was shown photos of the crime scene, the bloodstains, and the cleaning supplies, leaving little room for doubt about Brandon's guilt. Aaron's family took the stand, sharing their grief and the impact of his loss. His mother described him as a kind, ambitious young man with a bright future. The emotional testimony moved everyone in the courtroom, highlighting the human cost of Brandon's actions. The jury deliberated for hours, weighing the evidence and the defense's arguments. They reviewed the autopsy report, Brandon's notes, and the testimony from both sides. Despite the defense's claims of mental instability, the overwhelming evidence pointed to a premeditated murder. On July 18, 2024, Brandon was sentenced to life in prison without parole. The judge called his actions evil and horrifying, emphasizing the need for justice for Aaron and his family. Brandon showed no emotion as the sentence was read, further cementing his cold and remorseless nature. Aaron's family visited his grave, mourning the loss of a son, brother, and friend. They found some solace in knowing Brandon would never harm anyone again. But the pain of Aaron's absence remained. Meanwhile, Brandon's parents struggled to come to terms with their son's actions, their lives forever changed by the tragedy. The case served as a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the closest relationships. The case garnered national attention, with media outlets covering every detail of Brandon's trial. Reporters dissected his disturbing notes, the gruesome crime scene, and the emotional impact on both families. The story became a cautionary tale, sparking debates about mental health, friendship, and the nature of evil. Brandon underwent a psychological evaluation to determine his mental state at the time of the murder. While he showed signs of anxiety and OCD, experts concluded that he was fully aware of his actions. The evaluation further weakened his defense's insanity plea, solidifying the prosecution's case. The community rallied around Aaron's family, holding vigils and fundraisers in his memory. Friends and neighbors shared stories of Aaron's kindness and ambition, painting a picture of a young man who had touched many lives. Meanwhile, Brandon's family faced judgment and isolation, struggling to cope with the fallout of his actions. Brandon's legal team filed an appeal, arguing that his mental health issues were not adequately considered during the trial. However, the appeal was quickly dismissed, as the court upheld the original verdict. The judge reiterated that Brandon's actions were premeditated and that justice had been served. Brandon adjusted to life in prison, showing no remorse for his crime. He spent his days in isolation, reflecting on his actions, but never expressing regret. Psychologists continued to study him, trying to understand what drove him to kill, but Brandon remained an enigma. Aaron's legacy lived on through scholarships and community projects established in his name. His family worked tirelessly to honor his memory, ensuring that his death was not in vain. Meanwhile, Brandon's name became synonymous with betrayal and violence, a stark reminder of the darkness that can exist within even the closest friendships. The case left an indelible mark on everyone involved, a tragic story of loss, justice, and the enduring search for understanding. Years after the trial, detectives revisited the case to ensure no stone was left unturned. They reviewed Brandon's notes, the autopsy report, and witness statements. confirming that the investigation had been thorough. The review reinforced the conclusion that Brandon had acted alone and with clear intent, leaving no room for doubt about his guilt. The case sparked conversations about mental health and its role in violent crimes. While Brandon's actions were not excused, the tragedy highlighted the need for better mental health support and early intervention. Aaron's family became advocates for mental health awareness, hoping to prevent similar tragedies in the future. A journalist secured a rare interview with Brandon in prison. When asked about the murder, Brandon remained eerily calm, offering no explanation or remorse. His chilling demeanor left the journalist and the public with more questions than answers, further cementing his reputation as a cold and remorseless killer. Aaron's family continued to heal, finding solace in their memories of him and the support of their community. They established a foundation in his name, focusing on mental health and violence prevention. While the pain of losing Aaron never fully faded, they found purpose in honoring his legacy. Brandon's life sentence ensured he would never walk free, bringing a sense of closure to Aaron's family and the community. Shattered trust, haunting darkness. Justice served, scars remain,